welcome to LMU Community TV News. We hope you're having a great week. I'm Jansen Brown.
And I'm Peyton McDaniel, and these are the stories we have for you today. Lincoln Memorial University celebrated Homecoming 2016 this past weekend. The weekend began with the Rail Splitter 5K night run Thursday night. A full slate of activities continued on Friday that was highlighted with the dedication of the bell tower at 3 o'clock on the campus quad. Construction on the bell tower began early this spring and was expected to be completed before summer, but delays in construction from weather and events pushed the date to later in the summer. The bell tower only adds to the beauty and the scenery that surrounds the quad on the campus of Lincoln Memorial University. The dedication of the bell tower brought with it a memory that will be carried on through the decades here at LMU. The homecoming events continued into Saturday with a morning that featured the annual President's Breakfast that was open to all alumni. Dr. Dawson gave his State of the School address and also took questions from the alumni. The President's Breakfast was followed by the Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony, seeing Dan Taylor, Jerry Burnett, and Brad Seal enter the Hall of Fame. Taylor entered as a member of the 1969 baseball team, Burnett went in as a member of the 1986 basketball team, and Brad Seal went in as a member of the 2005 basketball team. Also on Saturday, 4 new members were inducted into the Educators Hall of Fame: Dr. Janet Barnard, Jerry Hounshell, Dr. Ed Loudenbach, and Dr. Robert Ziegler. The Professional Hall of Fame inducted Gary Giles, Lieutenant Colonel Martin Keeley III, and Sheila Stafford. Lincoln Memorial University Homecoming 2016 concluded on Sunday morning with a fond farewell with donuts and coffee.
This past Thursday, members of the LMU Wildlife Society attended and participated in a mussel release event at the Powell River Aquatic Research Station. Organized in conjunction with Virginia Tech and the United States Department of Fish and Wildlife in an effort to increase ecosystem diversity and improve the overall quality of the water. We caught up with LMU Assistant Professor of Conservation Biology, Dr. Leroy Brandt, who explains further.
So we recently went out to the Powell River, the Well-Being Center that is just downstream from the Powell River Aquatic Research Station owned by the university. We had a mussel release with the Virginia Tech, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Nature Conservancy, a lot of different partners. TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority was there too, had many people involved with this, releasing some essentially farm-raised mussels. These say farm-raised, it's more of a research lab that raising these mussels for release. Had 4 different species that we released that day. There were 3 endangered and 1 common species that we released. Mussels, especially in terms of freshwater river systems, are vitally important to the water quality. In fact, in terms of looking at the diversity in the water, the number of mussels that are there, and the overall biodiversity sort of is one way to measure water quality. And because they are filter feeders, they will clean out the water. They will keep debris out of the water. They do a lot of filter feeding. They grab nutrients out of the water that they actually make available to other organisms living in the water. As the stream is flowing downhill, the nutrients are all being flushed down with the water as it's going downstream, and they're able to actually grab onto those nutrients and sort of secure them for the organisms that live in the water. So not only are they just sort of filter feeding and sort of cleaning the water up and processing debris and organic matter that's coming in the water, they actually are actively providing food for other organisms as they become this crucial link in the food chain that it is, and food webs that are in the streams themselves. One of the best things we have in terms of student opportunities is working with our Wildlife Society here on campus, our student organization. This is a very active group in lots of different conservation efforts, volunteer work, going out and doing many of these activities. Many of the students that were there when we released these mussels were members of the Wildlife Society. There were a few others that they were able to recruit in as well, but that most of them were Wildlife Society members, and we're constantly looking for opportunities for students to get involved like this, whether it's with mussels or whether it's, I know we've got some things coming up here, working deer check stations with the Wildlife Society. I mean, just any kinds of conservation or wildlife activities, we're trying to get students out there and provide opportunities for them.
Members of the LMU Wildlife Society were also on hand to give their account of the release and urge other students to get involved.
I went because I'm doing my research project on mussels. Mussels have always been an interest in me. I enjoyed being there just simply because I got to hands-on reintroduce species that could have become extinct. So we're modifying and helping reintroduce so the population increases, in which that's the big opportunity for me, is helping the conservation of the mussels, in which hopefully in the future that's what I'll be doing. If you're interested, it's not even if you're interested in conservation, they are a cool species. So even if you don't know what they are or how they interact, it's good just to see the new species, and looking at them once you can learn something about them. There's always something new you can learn.
So going to this, I really didn't know anything about mussels. I knew that they were important to our wildlife, and I knew that they were a food source for fish and other organisms. But they are such a diverse and such a cool creature. To repopulate, they take a lure that they put out the top of them to attract a host fish, to put a female to put their babies on. And I didn't know this, but each lure is very different. They only select certain species of fish to put their babies on. So the babies will fall off and drop off and become the mussels that we actually see every day. But they are so diverse. The ones that we got to see one displaying, and she pulled out her lure, and it looked just like a large crawfish. So it would bring in a fish, attach her babies on, and then they would go downstream with the fish. Going into this, I was open to anything. I didn't really know what to expect, but it was just so neat to see this and get the feeling that you were helping the conservation of this species. And each different species we got to put in was helping the environment. And this, even if you are not interested in conservation or not interested in any wildlife at all, just seeing these mussels getting put into the water, it's something that you can apply to every species on Earth. You can help, if you're interested in mammals or frogs or anything like that, you can apply those same concepts to those organisms as well. And it has really broadened my mind.
This week around the nation, communities are taking part in Fire Safety and Prevention Week. To help celebrate and bring awareness to the issues of fires, the Harrogate Volunteer Fire Department visited area schools to teach them ways to prevent fires and what they should do in case of a fire. Monday morning, they showed up at the J. Frank White Academy to talk to the fourth graders. Some of the issues discussed were how to leave the house if it's full of smoke and how to get a firefighter's attention if you're trapped in a burning room because they cannot hear you with their equipment on. The topic of smoke detectors was also brought up, and they reminded the students that smoke alarms should be tested monthly. Batteries should be replaced twice a year, usually around daylight savings time, and the little-known fact that alarms are supposed to be replaced every 10 years from the manufacturer date on the back of the alarms. For more information on Fire Prevention Week or for other questions about smoke alarms, you can go to the National Fire Protection Association's website at www.nfpa.org.
The Lincoln Memorial University John J. Duncan Jr. School of Law's results from the July 2016 Tennessee Bar have come back, and they were astonishing. The law school posted a first-time pass rate of 87.5%, which is the highest first-time pass rate in school history. The 87.5% pass rate was also second best in the state, behind only Vanderbilt University, which posted a 92.3% pass rate, and just in front of Belmont University, who posted an 87.1%. The Duncan School of Law was one of 5 schools who posted a better percent than the average of schools in Tennessee, who took the bar, which was at 73.2%. They also had 3 out of the 4 who were retaking the test pass. Vice President and Dean Gary R. Wade said in a press release that the law school has some very happy graduates today, and he credited the top-notch faculty and staff for the development of an excellent class of 2016. Since the law school graduated its first class in May of 2013, 93% of the graduates have passed the bar exam. The Carter and Moyer School of Education on the campus of Lincoln Memorial University will present the next installment of its Upholding the Constitution lecture series. The installment will feature Judge James L. Cotton, Jr. on Friday, October 21st. The presentation is entitled The Picture of Silver Around the Apple of Gold, Abraham Lincoln's Declared Centered Constitutionalism. It is funded through the generosity of its namesake, Dr. G. L. Carter. The School of Education hosts the workshop annually. Registration will begin at 8 that morning with a continental breakfast being served. The seminar will run from 9 to 1:30 and lunch is included. The seminar is entirely underwritten and provided to participants at no cost with all printed materials included. Registration is required, and for more information you can contact Sue England at 423-869-6253 or by email at taiwana.england@lmunet.edu. Coming up after the break, a local police officer has been relieved of his duties. To find out who, keep it right here on LMU Community TV News.
What do we know about learning? It takes place beyond the pages of a book. We learn by exploring, by trying new things, by connecting, by sharing. We learn by taking chances and dreaming big. At Lincoln Memorial University, learning is beyond the books. It's everywhere.
I'm a firefighter.
A teacher.
I'm a farmer.
I'm a barber.
A waitress.
A mom.
We're all part of your community.
Every day we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good,
others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when you experience a moment of uncertainty.
Something or someone's behavior that doesn't seem quite right.
These are the moments to take a pause.
Because if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not.
It's not about paranoia
or being afraid.
It's about standing up and protecting our communities.
One detail at a time.
Because a lot of little details can become a pattern.
We
trust our instincts.
Just like you should.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Come on, it's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
On Wednesday, Director of Career Services Megan Owens spoke with our very own Adam Crawford at a career fair held for students who are still unsure about their path following life at LMU. Here's what she had to say.
Hi, I'm Adam Crawford here at the Student Center on Lincoln Memorial University's campus with Megan Owens. She is the Director of Career Services.
Hi.
And we are at the job fair. So Megan, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on down here?
Sure. We've invited all of our LMU graduate school and professional programs. So there's 9 LMU programs here represented. We also have ETSU, Gatton College of Pharmacy here, and Milligan College. So they're all here recruiting students for graduate programs from a variety of fields, just so that students really see what their options are after graduating from LMU. So we just hope everybody comes out to see where their next step could be.
Okay, and what are some of the programs being talked about here?
We also have a few employers here that are recruiting for internships and for open positions. So for criminal justice majors, Morristown Police Department is here recruiting. For our business folks, Vanderbilt Mortgage is here recruiting. We also have Tennessee State Parks for wildlife and fisheries folks and biology conservation majors. And then we also have a few healthcare. Summit Medical Group is here, Wellmont is here recruiting for nursing, and then Youth Villages is also here recruiting for social work majors, psychology majors to work with at-risk youth.
What's your hope for this program that people take away from it?
Our hope is just that you see that Lincoln Memorial University is a great place to get started in your career, whether that's going to graduate school and seeing all those options, or whether that's getting a career right after you're done with your degree.
And have you guys had a lot of business here today?
It's been pretty busy. It's people coming in through lunch, and we'll be set up until 2.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
For more information on what services are provided, you can visit the Lincoln Memorial University homepage at www.lmunet.edu.
A world engineering feat completed right here in the tri-state community is 20 years old. Many local commuters forget what travel was like before the completion of the Cumberland Gap Tunnel. The completion of the tunnel has allowed for safer travel through the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park that winds through Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia. Prior to the tunnel, travel across the mountainside, inside the mountain, the park was dangerous and consisted of a busy highway that is now converted back to its original landscape. The tunnel is operated by a team of 35 employees with titles that range from mechanical engineers to electronic specialists and maintenance technicians and operations staff. Most employees are cross-trained for emergency response, firefighting, and hazmat that ensures the safety of commuters traveling through the tunnel on a daily basis. Following several years of research that included geological surveys and engineers crunching numbers, the design work began on the Cumberland Gap Tunnel. The tunnel does look the same cosmetically, but through the new technology, many changes to the inner work and the monitoring systems have taken place. To celebrate the 20th anniversary of the opening of the Cumberland Gap Tunnel, the National Historical Park will hold an event on Tuesday, October 18th. It will exhibit additional photos from the construction of the tunnel, and there will also be tunnel employees available to answer questions about the history and construction of the tunnel. The public is invited to attend.
3 people are dead following a 3-vehicle accident on Highway 119 in the Calvin community of Bell County. A news release from the Kentucky State Police Post 10 in Harlan states that at approximately 5:15 Wednesday, a trooper was traveling west on the highway when he came upon a 2-vehicle collision. A preliminary investigation indicates that a white Toyota was traveling north towards Harlan when a Toyota RAV4 traveling south allegedly crossed the center line and struck the Camry head-on. The operator of the Camry, 51-year-old William Hampton, and his wife, 53-year-old Dina Hampton, were pronounced deceased at the scene. And 51-year-old Bobby Miller, who was operating the RAV4, was also pronounced deceased at the scene by the Bell County coroner. According to the Kentucky State Police, at this time, the use of drugs and alcohol are pending investigation. Both drivers were wearing seatbelts at the time of the collision, but passenger Dina Hampton was not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the collision. Several agencies assisted on the scene, but the collision remains under investigation by the Kentucky State Police. The highway was shut down for approximately 5 hours and traffic was detoured on Highway 987. We will bring you more information as it is being made available.
A local police officer is without a job after a unanimous decision by the Tazewell Board of Mayor and Aldermen decided to terminate his job Tuesday night. K-9 Officer Philip Stubblefield was terminated following a month-long suspicion. The suspension and ultimate termination of Stubblefield's position followed letters drafted by 8th Judicial District Attorney General Jared Effler. The letters complain of ongoing performance problems with the only K-9 officer employed by the city. The first letter was drafted on September 9th, stating that members of Effler's staff have attempted to address deficiencies in an informal manner. Effler claims that Stubblefield showed his work as a law enforcement officer by falling asleep during a jury trial in which a DUI case was being prosecuted. A second letter dated October 3rd claims that Stubblefield ignored a subpoena to appear in court for a DUI case on September 21st. According to Effler, his office worked through 6 steps to ensure Stubblefield would be present and ready for the trial. Stubblefield's attorney, Rodney Rowlett III, pointed to the lack of any reprimands in his client's personnel file. Even while under suspension, an officer is expected to appear in court on those pending cases in which he is a witness. After more debate between the two factions, the board voted to terminate Stubblefield's employment. The decision to terminate Stubblefield's employment was unanimous.
So Hurricane Matthew hit the West Coast pretty hard, but didn't affect the Lady Rail Splitters.
That's right, Jansen. The Lady Rail Splitters, as well as the men's soccer team, were able to make up their contest against the Wolves of Newberry. And to find out how they did, stay tuned right after this.
Definitely thought that story was supposed to be next.
get strawberries?
Okay.
Welcome back. The Lady Rail Splitters soccer team's postponed matchup with the Newberry Wolves in South Carolina ended in a 1-1 draw on Monday afternoon. The contest, originally scheduled for late Saturday but was delayed 2 days due to Hurricane Matthew, saw Lincoln Memorial's Palisa Chipendo score her first career goal in the 68th minute, breaking a scoreless tie. Newberry would respond, however, 13 minutes later to even the score at 1 apiece. Neither side would be able to generate any more offense, and the resulting decision was a draw. The all-time series between Lincoln Memorial and Newberry now stands at 6-6 and 2. Following the draw, LMU's record now goes to 2-7 and 1 overall, with a 1-4 and 1 mark in South Atlantic Conference play. The men's soccer team for Lincoln Memorial produced a thrilling finish with the Wolves of Newberry later in the day, as the Rail Splitters were victorious 3-2 in overtime following a penalty kick by sophomore striker Victor Perez in the 94th minute of the contest. It was a back-and-forth game from start to finish that saw LMU's Danilo da Silva notch his 6th goal of the season 13 minutes into the contest, only for the Wolves to respond and even the score 5 minutes later. In the 39th minute, Lincoln Memorial went ahead again after George Burns' 4th goal in the past 2 games, which was set up by Felipe de Souza. The Rail Splitters would hold on to that 2-1 lead until the 76th minute, when Newberry evened up the score yet again off of a free kick. That set up the game-ending goal from Perez 18 minutes later, and with the thrilling victory, LMU improves to 7-4 overall with an even 3-3 record in South Atlantic Conference action. Both the women's and men's soccer squads will be back in action this Saturday, October 15th, from Harrogate, Tennessee, for more SAC play with the Cobras of Coker College. The women's game will have first touch at 1 o'clock, followed by the men's game at 3:30. LMU Sports Network will be covering the event on www.lmurailsplitters.com with live video. The men's and women's golf teams for Lincoln Memorial participated in separate events on Monday and Tuesday, and the men's team finished in first place in the State Farm Intercollegiate in Tazewell, Tennessee, an event that saw the hosting Rail Splitters win the Intercollegiate with a 16-stroke lead over the second-place Eagles of Carson Newman. The 15-team field saw Lincoln Memorial shoot an .855 throughout the 2 days, beating out the Eagles, who shot an .871. Other South Atlantic Conference teams, Lenore Rhine, Brevard, and Anderson, would round out the top 5, shooting .874, .878, and .887, respectively. The Rail Splitters now look forward to the Golf Week Division II Fall Invitational in Austin, Texas, on October 31st. The women's golf team participated in the Patsy Rendelman Invitational from Salisbury, North Carolina on Monday and Tuesday, and would finish in 7th place in the 15-team field. The Lady Rail Splitters stood at a tie for 4th place after the first day, but would fall 3 spots down after posting a 632 total for the event. The Tusculum Pioneers would finish in 1st place in the Invitational, shooting a 613. And Lincoln Memorial now looks to conclude their fall season on October 23rd, when they will travel to Dahlonega, Georgia for the Leanne Noble Memorial. The Lady Rail Splitter volleyball team is getting ready for a very busy weekend, as LMU will be participating in the SAC versus Peach Belt Conference Challenge in Jefferson City, Tennessee on Friday and Saturday. Lincoln Memorial will be playing 4 games in the 2 days, starting off with a matchup against the Augusta University Jaguars at 1:00 p.m. Later on in the day at 4 o'clock, the Lady Rail Splitters will have to turn right around to face the Bobcats of Lander University. On Saturday, a 1 o'clock date with the Georgia College Bobcats precedes a 5 o'clock battle with the Pacers of USC Aiken. Lincoln Memorial will resume conference play just 3 days later, marking a span of 4 games in 5 days. LMU currently stands at 13-2 overall and holds a 10-1 record in South Atlantic Conference matchups. The 2016 high school football season continues this Friday, with teams looking forward to their final few games of the regular season. Here's a look at all of the upcoming matchups from around the region. In Tennessee, the 2-5 Claiborne Bulldogs host the Unicoi County Blue Devils in the LMU Sports Network's Old Town Grill Game of the Week. Pre-game coverage will begin at 6 p.m. as Adam Haley and Asher No will have the call starting at 7 p.m. on 91.3 FM WLMU. The Cumberland Gap Panthers will be on the road to battle the Cosby Eagles in a matchup between two 1-6 teams. The 8th-ranked team in Region 3, the 7-1 Campbell County Cougars, will take on the Beavers of Karnes on the road. Union County will attempt to end a 24-game losing streak when they host the Fulton Falcons, who hold the number 9 ranking in Region 2. Hancock County will be at home for a matchup with the Cloudland Highlanders in a battle of 3 and 5 squads, and Jellicoe will host the Sunbright Tigers, looking for their 4th win of the season. In Kentucky, the Bell County Bobcats will travel to Corbin to take on the 2nd-ranked team in the region, the 6-1 Corbin Redhounds. The Mountain Lions of Pineville have a home matchup with the Williamsburg Yellow Jackets in a contest of 2, 3, and 4 teams, and Middlesboro will host the Danville Admirals, who hold the 4th place ranking in the region. Finally, in Virginia, the Thomas Walker Pioneers will be facing the Twin Valley Panthers at home, looking for win number 3 in 2016. Well, this weekend will mark the 3rd Saturday in October, and that can only mean that one of the biggest rivalries in college football will be renewed. The 9th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers, fresh off of a heartbreaking loss on the road in College Station, Texas, will take on the number 1-ranked undefeated Crimson Tide of Alabama. Head coach Nick Saban's team holds an FBS best 18 consecutive victories dating back to 2015, and quarterback Jalen Hurts and the Tide are fresh off of an impressive performance on the road, defeating Arkansas 49-30. Meanwhile, the string of comebacks continued last Saturday for the Volunteers. However, a different result came out of last week's 45-38 double overtime defeat at the hands of Texas A&M, the team that Alabama will be taking on next week. Quarterback Joshua Dobbs and the Vols have now lost their first game since falling to the Tide last year, 19-14, and will now look to end a 9-year losing streak to Alabama this Saturday afternoon. Tennessee and Alabama will renew their storied rivalry at 3:30 p.m. on CBS. That's all for sports this week, but stay tuned. It's more LMU Community TV news right after this.
Hello, I'm Joseph Lewis, bringing you all the latest information in the world of movies. Coming to theaters this weekend is The Accountant, an action thriller in which Ben Affleck stars as a mathematics genius who covertly makes his living running numbers for organized crime. After attempting to go legitimate with an account for an up-and-coming robotics company, he finds himself pursued by a determined Treasury agent played by J.K. Simmons. Anna Kendrick, John Bernthal, Jeffrey Tambor, and John Lithgow co-star, while the film is helmed by Gavin O'Connor, previously responsible for directing 2011's powerful boxing drama Warrior. Also new to theaters this weekend is Max Steel, a low-budget sci-fi film that brings Mattel's popular line of action figures to life on the big screen. Telling the origin story of a boy and his alien friend who combine to become the titular superhero, Max Steel is penned by Marvel Comics writer Christopher Yost and directed by Stuart Hendler, best known for the Halo web series Forward Unto Dawn. After multiple deals fell through, the toy company eventually partnered with Dolphin Entertainment and Open Road Films to produce and distribute the movie, which features Andy Garcia and Maria Bello in supporting roles. Lastly for this weekend is Kevin Hart, What Now?, a stand-up comedy film showcasing the latest material from one of America's most successful funny men. This is Hart's 5th special and his 3rd to be released theatrically, the most recent being 2013's Let Me Explain. Fans of his act will definitely want to check it out. However, those not previously sold on his brand of humor should probably stay away. The Accountant, Max Steel, and Kevin Hart What Now can all be seen in theaters nationwide starting this Friday, October 14th. And as always, be sure to check your local listings for special Thursday night screenings in the area. That's all for today in the world of movies. I'm Joseph Lewis.
That will do it for today's edition of LMU Community TV News. I'm Peyton McDaniel.
And I'm Jansen Brown. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend.